everybody. Welcome to episode 6 of Barley, Hops, and Yarn, the podcast edition. My name is Jennifer. I'm the owner, operator, dyer, etc. of Barley, Hops, and Yarn, and this is my podcast. It's a knitting podcast mostly. I do obviously dye yarn since I'm the owner, operator, dyer of Barley, Hops, and Yarn. So I will sometimes show you guys things that I've dyed up or new collections I have coming out. I'm not working on any new collections right now, but I do have some ideas brewing for a couple just new colorways, not necessarily associated with anything. And I have a few pre-orders coming up, which I probably won't show you guys. But anyway, all that to say, it is primarily a knitting podcast with some other yarn adventures thrown in there. Today is November 5th. I cannot believe we're into November already. It is my birthday month, so that is exciting. Yeah, that's really it to say about November. I mean, we're at almost the end of the year already, which is just ridiculous to me that this year's gone by so quickly, and I'm sure it is to everybody because that's what everybody always says. But yeah, so happy November, everybody. We're getting there. To start off, my brain's not really working well today. Oh, thank you all for, see, brain not working. Thank you all so much for watching prior episodes. If you're returning and then joining me for this one after the craziness that has been the past 5 episodes. And thank you also if you are a new viewer. I hope you stick around. If not, no hard feelings. My chaotic brain is not for everybody. But I really do appreciate all the support you guys give me. So thank you so much for that. One note for this episode, I'm trying to make more of a point of like looking at the camera as opposed to looking at myself while I talk. And I obviously can't confirm that I'm looking at the camera until I watch this back. So if I look like I'm looking off screen, I promise I'm not trying to. I mean, there are a couple times I will because that's just how I am. But I'm trying to look like at the camera specifically, not at myself. So we'll see how this goes after I record. I'm not going to record an entire episode twice. So it's going to be what it's going to be. But to start, barley and hops, 2 main ingredients in beer. So as usual, I have a beer today. This is Beyond the Gnome World. Gnome is in like a little gnomey creature there. It is by Silver Branch Brewing. This brewery was opened, I want to say like 2019-ish, 2018. I don't remember the exact year. But a lovely brewer named Christian opened it with one of his friends. I still haven't been to the brewery itself. My husband and I actually know Christian because we used to work together at a different brewery. Excuse me. Yeah, so I think this is my first time, other than the brewery that I know him from prior, trying one of Christian's beers. So again, this is Beyond the Gnome World. This is a Saison. I think it's called Beyond the Gnome World is because it is a classical Saison brewed with all Pilsner malt and Saaz, I don't know how to say that, hops. It's S-A-A-Z. So we'll go Saaz hops, and a blend of Saison yeast from 2 Belgian breweries. So Beyond the World, I guess. I don't know. I've already had some of it. I'll drink some now so you can see my facial expressions, I guess. I don't know. And by I've already had some, I mean like I opened it and was drinking it while I was setting up. But I really like this. I'm a big fan of Saisons. If you don't know what a Saison is, it usually has some sort of kind of citrusy flavor to it with some sort of spice. So my all-time favorite Saison is from a brewery that no longer exists because they closed down, I guess this spring it was. It was 3 Stars Brewing out of DC, and they had I want to say it was I don't remember if it was lemon, but it was definitely a peppercorn Saison, and I loved that. This one is really good. It's probably going to be my new go-to until I find a different go-to. The only thing I have to say about it that is what's making it not be like 100% this is straight up my go-to is there's something about the final note of hop that it's taking some getting used to, but I like the spices that are in it, and it's smooth. It's a good Saison. It's not too overpowering, and I feel like a lot of times with Saisons, they're not beers that you can easily sit and drink because there's either too much of the spices, especially like that other one had peppercorn in it. Who wants to drink a beer that has too much peppercorn? I'm sure some of you are thinking, who wants to drink a beer with peppercorn at all? But, you know, you do, I promise. Yeah, so sometimes saisons just like have too much of one specific note in it and it's not really balanced, and I do feel like this one is good and balanced. So if you are in the DMV area, check out Silver Branch Brewing Beyond the Gnome World. I have no idea if this is a seasonal or not. Oh, I'm gonna guess it's not because it won gold in the 2020 Great American Beer Festival. So Christian has won a lot of awards, I think. I'm pretty sure. Because I know he won some back at the brewery that we used to work at together. But anyway, yeah, good beer. Try it. I feel like I don't always give good beer recommendations because I just try different things and sometimes they suck. And I'll tell you if they do, but this one is good. So try it. Okay. So, on to the knitting. First things first, I have a hoe. Last time y'all saw this is my Vanilla is the New Black sock. I do not remember who the pattern writer is, and I don't have that information in front. Well, do I? No, it's too far away. Don't have that information in front of me because why would I? But the yarn is Cows in the Trees by At Haynes House, which is a local to me dyer. Last time y'all saw this, I had just finished up the pattern of the heel and done the decreasing to get back to foot size. I'm pretty sure just finished that was no longer decreasing last time y'all saw it. So I finished the foot and now I have a hoe. I did cast on my cuff and a couple rows of the leg, but we'll see how long it takes me to finish that one. Because I may have cast on another sock, but we'll get to that in a minute. So yeah, I love how it turned out. I know I've said in previous episodes I didn't really like how the pattern was written. Now that I have a good idea of how the pattern was written, we'll see how it goes for sock number 2 and if I change my mind on how I feel about making this pattern again in the future. I feel like once I kind of get to it, it'll be a little bit more easily memorizable. And that's one of the reasons why just vanilla heel flap gusset is my go-to, because I can easily remember that. Yeah, so we'll see once I do sock number 2. Maybe I'll change my mind, maybe I won't. But either way, I feel like it's a good pattern for that particular sock, so I'm happy with it. Whip number 2 is my opal tank. As y'all know, if you've watched before, I have it's a tank pattern that is written with a front and a back panel. I have the front panel done and I have just started the back panel. Last time I didn't even show it to y'all because I hadn't even, I think I had done like 5 rows on it. Now I've done a little bit more than 5. So it has like a scooped shape to it. So I've finished the increasing for the scoop shape and now I'm just knitting stockinette back and forth for inches. I don't remember how many inches, but it's not that exciting. I just wanted to tell you guys where I was at it, and there's that. I know I've been saying in past episodes that it's getting cooler outside, so I'm concerned that I won't be able to wear it until next season. It's 70 something degrees outside right now. It's 77 degrees outside in Middle Maryland, which is too hot for November 5th. I like warm weather. I just was finally starting to accept the cold weather and get into it, and now it's not cold anymore. Anyway, so apparently I didn't need to procrastinate on this because I would have had another day to wear it in this season, but whatever. Then of course the one thing you are all very familiar with, because it's pretty much the only thing that gets any love and attention right now, is my sorrel. And wait for it. We're not attached to needles on the body anymore. I had told y'all last episode that my goal was to finish the ribbing of the body 2 weeks ago, and then this past week do a sleeve. As you can see, I'm still sleeveless, so that did not happen. I really don't like ribbing, so if I get to a point in a pattern that calls for ribbing, it sits in timeout until I motivate myself to do it. But about 20 minutes ago, before I started recording, I've bound off on my body. There's an upside down view. I bound off on my body, so I will later on today or tomorrow pick up a sleeve, and I'll coin flip for which sleeve, I guess. But I'll pick up a sleeve and go from there. I, for the first time ever, did a tubular cast off. Are you gonna cooperate with me? Meh, not really. Okay, so I've never done a tubular cast off before. It was certainly time consuming, but I do like how, because it's nice and stretchy, and I know that a lot of times with just me doing a standard bind off, I'm really tight with it. Bind off, cast off, whatever you'd like to call it. I'm really tight with it, so I'm liking that the tubular is so stretchy, because it's good. It's not gonna just like subtly cinch at my waist and I won't be able to actually wear it because it'll be too tight. And of course, because this was my first time doing it, I've had a little bit of a difficulty with getting the tension where I wanted it. So you can kind of see if I can get it to load. This I think was the, or not load, what? Zoom, focus, whatever. You can sort of tell. The top here, it's supposed to just kind of look like a continuation of the stitches, but you can see over here that they're really spread out. And it doesn't, like the V doesn't necessarily line up as nicely as I'd want it to. But the more I got into it, like once we get, well, maybe not, maybe it just looked like that the entire way. No, I promise the more I got into it, the more consistent my tension got and looked a little bit cleaner. So I'm happy with that. I certainly feel like I have no problem doing it now after 300 something stitches on here and just going for it. So I will do it on the sleeves as well. But yeah, this is my sorrel. I am very happy with it. I cannot wait to be finished and have it to wear. So those are my 3 whips that y'all are aware of and know about. Last episode I did mention that I was going to be frogging a shawl that I just wasn't happy working on anymore, and I did that. So apparently frogging a shawl gives me permission to cast on 2 new things. They're small things, so it's like I went from a big project to 2 little projects, so it's equal, right? My first one is I had shown you all the yarn I got from Woolen Vinyl at the Frederick Fiber Festival. And just to recap on that story, my uncle's favorite song is Jessie's Girl. We always tease him for that. And then he always teases me for knitting everywhere I go. So I, of course, had to get him Jessie's Girl, and I'm making him a pair of socks in it. I have started sock number 1. She only had minis available of Jessie's Girl, so I decided, I got 2 minis, they're each about 20 grams, so I decided what I'm going to do is contrasting heels, toes, and cuffs, and then a couple of stripes on the leg. So I just have 1 sock worked on thus far. Got my cuff done on the Metro the other day, and then I have this nice charcoal color. So I've done about 15 rows of that, and then I'm gonna do 5 rows of color, 5 rows of charcoal, 5 rows of color, 5 rows of, I'm gonna do 3 total color stripes at 5 rows each. And then, yeah, there's that. So I'm hoping to have these done by Christmas, but I'm not really putting a timeline on it because he and I don't exchange Christmas presents. And I'm kind of doing this just as a just because and out of love present, so I don't really want to stress about having a deadline on it. So there's that. I say that a lot. I don't like that I say that a lot. I feel like it sounds kind of annoying. Something to think about, I suppose. Okay, so 4th project down. Now we have, don't knock over the beer, Jennifer. I have shown y'all a hat that was in this colorway. Last spring-ish, my husband said that he wanted a hat and like a neck warmer in a foresty green, and he was very specific because I had made him another hat and I used Madeline Tosh yarn for it, and he really liked how it felt. So he was very specific. He wanted that exact type of yarn again. So this is with Madeline Tosh. And the colorway is Malmo. In her DK twist. So it's 250 yards. I don't know how much it weighs because they sell by yardage as opposed to weight. But I have started a like neck warmer cowl thing for him in this lovely forest green color. I did a 3x3 rib. I am following a pattern, but it was free on Ravelry, so I don't mind telling you all what I'm doing. It's a 3x3 rib at the bottom, and then it'll be a broken rib body, and then another 3x3 at the top. This pattern is actually pretty cool though, because it has 4 different options for the ribbing along the edges, and then 4 different options for the body of the cowl. So you can really mix and match and make it what you want it to be. The ribbing part is like titled, or you can choose 1, 2, 3, or 4, and then the body you can choose A, B, C, or D. I happen to choose 3 and C because I liked how they looked together in the photos they had. But you can, of course, since it's totally up to you, you can mix and match and do whatever you'd like with it. So I thought that was kind of cool for the pattern to have the different options, and they're all simple. Yeah, that's all my current whips. I don't have any finished objects. Hopefully next episode I will. We shall see. I make no promises, but since I'm halfway down a sock, I feel fairly confident I'll be able to finish another sock in 2 weeks, and I would like to have that sweater finished, so we shall see. The only other thing I have in the yarny world to share is that I did have my first trunk show last weekend, and I feel like it went really well. I got a lot of positive feedback. I of course forgot all of my knit samples of what my yarns knit up as. So that was disappointing to realize as soon as I got there. I was like, shit, I don't have them, but that's okay. Everybody was really supportive. People bought yarn from me, which is the ultimate goal, and I can't wait to see what people make with the things they bought. Yeah, I had a lot of positive feedback on my Lucy colorway, which is my favorite one that I'm just going to show you guys all the time because I love it so much. And it has the reverse speckling and actual speckling and this lovely we'll call it Carolina blue color, but this is Lucy, so I 100% think it's my favorite thing I've ever dyed. Yeah, that's really it for all the knitting yarny stuff. So if you only joined me for the beer at the beginning and then the knitting and the yarny and all that, then farewell, have a great day. But I will now go into what books I've read. I did not get through as many books these past 2 weeks as I have prior. But I feel like some of the books I listened to were a little bit longer. I just haven't really been in a book mood. I've been in a music mood. I go back and forth between books, music, and podcasts, and I have not been on a podcast kick for months now. It's very much been a book kick and a little bit of a music kick. So we'll see when this ends. I'm going to switch over to telling you guys about podcasts instead of books. But for now, I finished 4, and I'm in the middle of 1 right now. Sorry, I'm looking at the floor because that's where my list is. I listened to Crown of Midnight by Sarah J. Maas, which is book 2 of the Throne of Glass series. I enjoyed it more than book 1. I still don't love it. I think 3 is the last one that's available through the library as an audiobook, so I'll listen to that one and then determine from there if I'm going to continue and actually read the rest of the books, so we'll see. To be determined. And then I read/listened to The Guest List by Lucy Foley. So for that one, if you don't know what it's about, essentially it is from the viewpoints of 4 or 5 different characters. And the setting is a secluded island in Ireland where a wedding is going to be happening. So all of these people are either invited to or are a part of the wedding in some form. So everybody has this, their own secret, their own baggage, and at the beginning of the book, it appears as though a crime has occurred. And so then we're finding out, has a crime actually occurred? Who is the victim of said crime? Who is the perpetrator of crime? I really enjoyed the first about 65% of it, I'd say, but then once I found out the first character's secret, I was like, all right, I could be done by now. And then I had forgotten that there was this whole mysterious crime that happened. So once I remembered that, I was like, oh no, I want to know what happened with this. So it got a little bit slow for me after the first 65%, but once I remembered that the crime had happened, it kind of picked up again in my interest and intrigue. And all in all, I'd still recommend the book. I did really enjoy reading it. I was just a little disappointed in how it I didn't like how it wrapped up because I felt like it was a little too forced in how everything came together. But I enjoyed the storytelling that got me there, if that makes sense. So if you like mysteries, like whodunit, what's this person's secret, that type of thing, I would definitely give it a read. I'll read another book or two of this author's before deciding if I'll I don't know. I really liked this author's storytelling. I just wasn't happy with how it was all wrapped up together, which happens sometimes. That's okay. The other book I read was actually is duology a word? I feel like duology should be a word. It's a partnership, it's a pair of books. I don't know. There was one, there was two. They left it open for there to be a third, but nothing's been written about it since. So the first book is called Creep. It was by Jennifer Hillier. The second book is called Freak. I'm not going to tell you anything about the second book because if I do, then I'll give things away from the first book. But essentially, premise is a college professor sleeps with her TA. Her TA then proceeds to blackmail her because what else would you do, I guess? That's an appropriate response. And then it was just kind of a dark mystery. Kidnapping and murder ensues in this book, and it's just kind of all over the place, but it definitely felt a little bit out there, and by a little bit I mean a lot of bit out there for the plausibility of some of these things, but I really enjoyed it. So if the author comes out with a third one, I'll read it. Yeah, recommend all of those books except for maybe the Throne of Glass one. I've been told for that specific series that the first two books were just kind of and then the rest of them get really good. So we shall see once I do the third one. And for what I'm currently reading, I have started the 6th book of the Wheel of Time series. I'm 26 pages into it, and it's a lot of pages. So have I really started it? I guess. But then I'm also reading Her Perfect Life by Hank Phillippi. My brain wants to say Philippi, but I have no idea if that's correct or not. It's Phillippi. And the last name is Ryan. Premise of this so far, I'm about 2 hours in, and I don't remember how long it is total. We'll say 11 hours. So a little bit of a chunk in the way, and enough to determine if I'm feeling it or not. But the premise I've gotten so far is that the main character is a reporter. She, of course, seems perfect to the public eye because all famous people do, I guess. I don't think so, but I mean, pretenses and everything. So anyway, she's somebody people aspire to be, we'll put it that way. And we have found out that she had a sister that went missing when the main character was 7-ish, and the sister was in college. So we're trying to figure out, main character's always been looking for her sister and is always trying to find her, and then now it appears that other people are going to start looking as well, even though the main character keeps her life very private and doesn't even tell people that she had a sister at one point that went missing. So, I like mysteries. I like not knowing what's going to happen next. I also, obviously from other things I've read, enjoy mindless things to listen to. I think I've overloaded a little bit on the mindless things to listen to, so now I'm going hardcore into mystery, whodunit, that type of thing. So we'll see what I say about it next episode, because I will most certainly be finished by then. I'm struggling with putting things on my to be read list just because I don't feel like, I don't know, I have a hard time using Goodreads for whatever reason. And I have a hard time finding recommendations through Goodreads. So I'm trying to be more diligent about adding what I'm actually reading onto Goodreads, but since I'm just now really starting to be diligent with it, it's recommending a lot of young adult, because that's a lot of what I was reading last month, and that's not so much what I'm reading right now. So I'm not in a young adult mood, so I don't want any of those suggestions, and it's not giving me these, dark murder mystery, whodunit, why is this person broken with so much baggage type of book, and that's what I'm going for right now. So I'm sure as I start to use Goodreads more, it'll give me better recommendations. But all of that to be said, if y'all have any books that you've read recently or not recently that have stuck with you that you really enjoyed, let me know, because I need more book suggestions. Yeah. So we got knitting, we got beer, we got books. So now I guess that puts us to life. I don't have too much to share in the way of life updates. I did, as you all know, go to DC last Friday. I got a later start to the day than I wanted to, but that's because I had to go to the bank, and I had to go inside of the bank. So I just waited until the bank was open before I even got ready for the day, because I know I could have gotten ready and just been at the bank when it opened, but no, I couldn't even start to get ready until the bank was already open. So that's okay. By the time I got downtown, it was about 11:45, 12 o'clock, and I went to the Botanic Gardens. I got a couple of inspiration for colorways that I might try to dye up. Of course, because it was at the end of October at that point, they didn't have a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for? They had a lot of foliage, but not a lot of flowers, because it's not spring, it's not summer, it's not flower season in the DC area anymore. So that's to be expected, but they did have some flowers blooming. They had a really pretty section of asters that was nice. And then of course inside the Botanic Garden you have the tropical section, they have an entire orchid section, which is pretty cool. They have a Hawaii section, they have, I don't know what they call it, but they had a Camellia sinensis plant. I don't know if I ever pronounced that correctly, but that's how I pronounce it. They had a tea plant, they had olive plants, they had coffee plants. So I guess you'd call it, why is my brain not working? I don't know. They had a section of things that you can eat or consume or digest in some form and there was also plants in that specific section. It was also plants that are used towards medicine and things like that. We'll say consumable. They had a consumable section. That's not what they call it, but that's what I'm going to call it. So I hung out there for a little while. Then I went to Red Bear Brewing in Northeast DC. First time going there. They had a beer that I don't know how many of you have had these, but lychee jellies. They had a beer that tasted exactly like the lychee jellies, and it was really good and not at all what you'd think a beer should taste like or would taste like, but it was so good. So good. I want more of it. And then also they had what they called a bar menu. Best bar food I've ever had. Best bar food. The French fries they had were the perfect amount of crispy. They had chicken tenders, which were the also perfect amount of crispy and just so good. I got mac and cheese, just a cup of mac and cheese to go with it. And I find a lot of times when mac and cheese is listed as 4 cheese mac and cheese, it's just too much. You know what I mean? I just want a basic mac and cheese. This one was listed as 3 tier. Humans, I'm recording a podcast and my door is open. Thank you for your consideration. People just came home. I think there was a 3 cheese. There was a 3 cheese one, but it was sure. Okay, great. It was so good. Anyway, normally my expectations are always really, really low with brewery and bar food because it's never amazing, but I was so happy with this food. And then I got about 60% of my tattoo done. I'd show it to you, but I can't back up and I'm too close to the camera and it's on my leg, so I'll show it on my Instagram eventually, I'm sure. I still have to go back and get color done. So once it's done and not in the peely gross stage and super itchy, I will take a picture and share it on the interwebs and tag Ryan in it. Yeah, and then what else? The alpaca fleece and I still don't know what it's called. I'm horrible. The Alpaca Festival is next weekend, which is November 12th and 13th at the Howard County Fairgrounds. I plan to be there on Saturday, so feel free to stop by and say hi if you see me. I don't know where I'll be hanging out or what I'll be doing, but you can always send me a message. If you're going to be there and would like to stop by and say hi, you can always send me a message on Instagram and I'll let you know what I'm doing and where I'm hanging out. Now, normally I record my podcast every 2 weeks on Saturdays. Next 2 weekends from now, I will be in New Mexico visiting one of my friends. So I don't know if I'm going to do like a vlog style throughout these next 2 weeks and then just kind of do a quick wrap-up video while I'm in New Mexico and throw it up while I'm visiting her, or if I'm just going to do 3 weeks this time. We don't have much planned in the way of New Mexico. Literally the only things I have said 100% this needs to happen is I want to go to Roswell and I want to go to the Carlsbad Caverns because bats. So aliens and bats, that's why I'm going. It's not actually to visit my friend. Jordan, if you're watching this, you're aware of that. So you're just an added bonus, but it's really the aliens and bats I'm going for. But yeah, so since we don't really have anything concrete planned, I don't know what that's going to look like for podcasting, but I'm making no promises about getting one up in 2 weeks because I'm going to be having fun. And not that podcasting is not fun, because it is. I just don't want it to become a stressful, oh crap, I gotta get a podcast up. When am I gonna find time to do this if I am having fun out of town on vacation with a friend I haven't seen in a few months. So there's that. I will see you in either 2 or 3 weeks. Still to be determined. But thanks for hanging out with me. I don't have anything else to share. I've gone over everything that has happened in my past 2 weeks with my knitting and my reading and the beer I'm having right now. And I truly cannot think of anything else that I have to say. So thank you again for joining me. I hope you enjoyed your time with me and you'll come back again in the future. Feel free to like the video or subscribe it. I don't think I normally ask for people to do that, because I kind of feel like it's self-explanatory. If you like something, you'll like it, and if you want to watch more of somebody, you will subscribe. So I don't usually feel like I have to say it, but I don't know. I'm rambling at this point. So do your thing. I'll see you next time if I see you next time, and if I don't, that's cool too. All right, bye. Have a great 2 or 3 weeks. We'll find out.